What up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Ginn Podcast, episode 128. Round of a fucking applause for me and for you. But for me first, just because this is my second episode in a week. And I've been trying to make myself a little bit more disciplined. And that's literally going to be this podcast episode: discipline and consistency. Now, if you're new here, my name is Gilbert Sanchez. I've had this podcast platform for going on 6 years now. This is season six, and I talk about mental health. I talk about daily life, advice. I've had people from all types of genres on this actual platform. So I'm happy to have you. If you've been here, I really, really appreciate you. But do me a huge favor, go ahead and rate this actual podcast episode. If you're on YouTube, when you're watching this on YouTube, give me a like, give me a subscribe. It really helps out this channel. All right, let's get into it. I think the first thing that I feel that helps me with either discipline or consistency is just the early mornings. I wake up on a daily it's a daily routine for me. It's anywhere between 6:30 and 7:30. And that's my normal routine for the past 15 to 20 years. So I feel good when I wake up at that time. Now, if I go to sleep at a horrible time, that won't happen. But if I'm in the 9:30 to 10:30 range, it will happen 9 times out of 10. So I wake up and I feel amazing. But as my day goes on and I start doing the daily task and I start doing the daily responsibilities, there's a crash. I get tired. I don't really drink caffeine other than pre-workout. I drink caffeine that's technically caffeine, but I, I there's a crash coming anywhere between 1 and 3 p.m. It's what it is, and it's what it has been for me for a very long time. But I start to get to a point where I'm like, okay, what the fuck is wrong with me? What is wrong with me? What is wrong with what I'm doing here? Why am I feeling like this, and why am I having such a hard time with being so disciplined and consistent throughout one single day? And I think for most people, the goal is, or most go getters, or most people that are watching this platform that are just striving for more, right? Is finding out what is wrong with me, how can I fix it, and pushing through. One thing that I like to remind myself is we just had New Year's recently, about 4 months ago, 5 months ago, and a stat that always gets pushed around is 90% of your New Year's resolutions fall off by February, which is in fucking insane. So if you're still doing a resolution right now, as you're hearing this, that you made in January or the new year, shout out to you, man. You're that 10% that didn't fucking fall off. And understanding why we fall off and building a system to get back up faster every single time is what this podcast episode is going to be about. Now, for me, the biggest thing that I can contribute starting off is my quote unquote fall off that I've seen people talk about, that I heard of people talking about, is the run that we did in 2021. Shout out to y'all, where we recorded an episode for damn near 10 months straight every single fucking week. And that was the rise of what you see now, the Gin podcast, and the platform that we created, the recording sessions, the studio that we had down in Southtown, San Antonio, Texas. It was it was a fucking movement. And it went down fucking hill from there. And I'm saying that because it's really not, for me, it's really not one big movement. It's a series of events that happen over 1,000 tiny little compromises over of amount of years. I think the fall off, quote unquote, you not being disciplined and consistent is over a long period of time. I think that's very opposite of what social media puts out. I mean, when they say fall off, it's usually within a short amount of time, like a couple months, maybe even a whole year. So for me, I think of it a little bit more different. A fall off, not being disciplined, not being consistent, is over a couple years. And I think you should think the same way. Couple things that you can have terrible discipline, terrible consistency is the gym. It's a huge one. I always like to keep myself very consistent in being just showing up. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. This morning, I didn't feel like showing up to the gym. It's a Wednesday. I have to go to work tomorrow, and I just wasn't feeling it. But I have a simple routine that once I do it, I feel 100 times better. Even after my actual gym session, I I feel like $1,000,000, honestly. I have a good fucking pump. I get myself out of the rut. And that's another way that I am attempting or keeping myself in line to being consistent on a daily basis. Another huge one, finances. I know debt and finances and income and investments and your portfolio and whatever you have right now going on in your life, being consistent in your finances, being very, very disciplined in your goals with your finances is huge. You might be wanting to get out of debt. You might want to buy a house. You might want to purchase a vehicle, like little things like that. Little things like that, when you make certain disciplines within your daily life, can add up huge. Other things that you could possibly do is like journaling or going on walks or spending time with family and friends. Those have a discipline as well because you have to set off time. You have to be consistent in an area where there's you have a daily life that you contribute to. So family, friendships, going out, if you do that, is time consuming. So there is some type of consistency, if you will, there. So throughout my daily life or throughout my weekly, monthly, yearly life, there's one thing that I try not to do, and it's perfection. I try not to be perfect because no one in this world is perfect. It comes with just being who I am. I try my absolute fucking best. And I realize that you are really doing different progress and making steps in your daily life by tiny little increments of things that you are doing and being disciplined, being consistent, and that comes with being a fucking human being. There's no way that this life is set up, at least logically to me, this life is set up for anyone to be a fucking quitter unless it's the ultimate suicidal thing that I really hardly ever mention. I always say this: if you only lose in life if you are a fucking quitter. There's no way around it. If you do something 5 years ago and you pick back up now, you're not a fucking you didn't lose. You didn't you you didn't quit. You can't consider that a failure, at least to me, unless you ultimately just stop doing it. If you pick it back up at that point, it's not a failure. Take that for what it is. One thing I want to touch on is why willpower is a bad bet. And it really sounds kind of counterintuitive, right? I think if you were just working hard in general, you've already won. That is the baseline. And I think you should be proud of yourself, honestly. And there's a couple things that I want to talk about in this section more than other sections is the dopamine effect that you have on yourself. You have the ego depletion throughout the day and also outcomes, relying on different outcomes. First and foremost, the dopamine effect. I know and I've had certain situations where that dopamine that you get from a quick fix, whether if it's doing bad shit, drinking, d- like literally bad shit in general, and you have good shit too. You get a dopamine effect from passing an exam, working out, shit, driving fast. Like, just that's not necessarily a good thing, but you know what I'm saying. You get that chemical high inside your body, and it disappears just as fast as it fucking came. So there's only one way to keep doing that, and that's being consistent. If you're doing a good thing every single day, I don't encourage you to do bad things with the dopamine effect that you get and it's cool. I'm focused strictly on good things, positive things here. If you are doing something so consistent and it's giving you a fucking high on life, keep fucking doing it. Keep showing up, keep being consistent at that one thing, and I promise you will find tiny, tiny, large improvements over time. The ego depletion, I want to talk about that. Like I mentioned earlier, the willpower is a bad bet. Over time, throughout your daily life, weekly, monthly, yearly life, if you're solely based off willpower, yes, it can get you through a certain amount of time, but you are going to deplete. Your tank is going to get very, very empty, especially on the daily tasks that you're doing. If it's heavy work, it's going to get empty very, very fast. So I think creating habits is where that can take your life into a different chapter. If you're focused on willpower for so long, that ends, then the habit kicks in. And from there, you can do the things that you've been doing on a daily basis, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, because that habit has been growing, been strong, been there the whole time. So that willpower is off. And then you feel like shit in the morning. You don't want to work out. Habit is there. Your mind is set. You get to the gym, and then boom, you're off to the fucking races. The last thing in this section is the outcomes. Stop focusing on outcomes. Me myself personally, I it's hard not to think about outcomes. It's hard not to think about what if I keep doing this, how successful can I be? It's hard, but I think the sooner you live your life without expecting anything in return, whether if it's uploading a YouTube video, starting a podcast, starting a business, if you live your life like that, I promise you tenfold will come back because there's no expectation there. You're not expecting a certain number. You're not expecting a lower number. It's whatever comes in is whatever I'm grateful for, and you should too. Now, for section 3, I want to talk about a fork in the road. This is quitters versus restarters, and this is going back to what I was talking about earlier. When you don't fail when you pick back something up, it's just your restarter. You're picking it back up because you fell in love with it at one particular time. And at that particular time where you just stopped doing it, it might have been time consuming. Now you have more time. I want you to do me a favor. As you're listening, as you're watching, I want you to picture two separate people, same goal, same mindset, same everything, and they have a bad week. If you get to the end of the week and one person quits, at that point, they just quit. That's nothing it. The other one quits, but the next day they restart. That person's already won. That person already beat the other person because they restarted versus quitting entirely. It's all or nothing. You either got to do it or you don't got to fucking do it. That's how I like to live my life by. I'm always a go getter. I'm always just fucking do it. I hardly ever complain. And when I do complain, it's something fucking serious. Let's just say you do complain. I always like to look at the good side. What you have in your life right now, what you're doing in your life right now can always be fucking worse. It can always be worse. You can, and I'm sure you've been in bad times in your life where it's like, fuck, I was down bad. And me personally, I've been down bad. So don't necessarily do things on a daily basis in a mindset where it's like, okay, stop for a second. It could always be fucking worse. Now, going back to the quitter, 9 times out of 10, the people that I've seen in work and fitness and my daily life always have a victim mentality. And something like that looks like when bad shit happens, it's supposed to happen to them, or so they think. Like when bad shit happens or when they quit, they just say, I'm not a disciplined person, and then just let it be. Now, for a restarter, you have people that might do that or don't do that at all, and then just pick back up where they left off because they have a mindset of, this is not going to define me. This is not who I am. And this is not what I'm set out to be. I have a goal and I'm going to accomplish it. And that could be you. It's always about perspective. It could always be fucking worse. If you look at your life and you realize, hey, I'm going to restart this, I'm going to do better next time, and I'm going to give it my fucking all versus I'm not a disciplined person. I don't belong here. This isn't for me. It is always going to be a shitty situation and it is always going to be a shitty fucking outcome. So switch that perspective and things just might turn out for the better. So, this episode is about discipline. And I think this episode can't be authentic if I don't give you my real life, my true self with a personal story with discipline and consistency. One thing that I've tried to do previously in different seasons is talk about being disciplined and consistent. And I've struggled wholeheartedly and I've struggled very, very fucking hard. Right now is my all throttle full attempt to get back season 6 in full effect. And previously, when I was doing seasons, I had trouble writing notes. I had trouble getting guests. I had trouble doing every single possible thing because I was always in a mindset of, I don't want to do it. I don't have to do it. I don't deserve it. I don't feel like editing. Every excuse under the fucking table. But I thought about this. I thought about this earlier today. And this is exactly why I'm doing this episode, is because if I want to be consistent, if I want to be disciplined, if I want to make this podcast to its true self, I have to go back to the basics. And the basics are for this platform, my mindset, my advice, and current events. If you go to any podcast platform, that is in my bio, that is in the description of what this platform is. So I said, why not just go back to the basics and just do what you used to do? Talk to the camera directly about your mindset, about different current events, about personal stories, about friends, families. Why not start with that? Because that's going to keep the audience alive. That's going to keep your season alive. That is what you want. That is what you're here for. Not the you don't have a studio so you can't do it. Not that you don't have guests so you can't do it. It's a podcast platform. It's my podcast. It's our podcast because you show love. And I have a mic. I have two cameras that I'm looking at. I have software. I have editing skills. Why not put out a podcast episode for a season that I'm trying to be disciplined and consistent with? This is my attempt. Hopefully, you're loving it so far. So, this last section I want to end on is, I guess, the restarter toolkit, some tips and tricks, some strategies that you can do yourself, some strategies that I've done, some tips that I've done, some things that I just do in my daily life that might help you. For strategy one, always like to do this, and it's the one thing rule that I have in my life. It's focus on one habit at a time. There's a book called One Thing. I think it's One Thing. I'm drawing a blank. But it's a book, and I've found in that book with reading it that 9 times out of 10, the people that multitask at a ton of different things get less done versus people that focus on one thing for that same amount of period of time. So I say this to say that yes, you can be a good multitasker, but if you switch your mindset or if you switch your daily routine to one thing at a time, one habit at a time, you will accomplish way more. I promise you. I read that book and I thought it was fucking lying to me. I thought I was like, no way that there is a thing called where it's just focusing on one thing. I was taught my whole life to be a multitasker. I'm gonna do a million things at a million times. It's all gonna get fucking done. I've noticed this over the past couple years that I have to focus on one thing and one thing gets done. And once it gets done, I go to the next thing because if I'm doing many things at one time, I get flustered, I get overwhelmed, I get overstimulated, like the kids like to say nowadays, and it just doesn't end well. So, my tip to you, focus on one thing at a time. Another thing I like to do every so often is define my identity. And that really is just sitting down to myself, writing down or writing on my notepad what my goals are for the month, for the week, what I have to do, um, some holidays coming up, family and friends, meetings. I just like to figure out what is going on in my particular life, sit down, focus on that, and get shit straightened out. Finances is a huge thing that I like to sit down and just tackle it one thing at a time. Um, Different scripts that I have to write for my actual cybersecurity channel, different things that I just have to do, record content creation, just define what it actually is And you'll figure out if you start doing things and writing things down that you're actually doing on a daily, weekly, yearly basis, that's your identity. That's who you are. That's who you want to be. Those are your goals. So do that, and that will lead to your ultimate goal, which is accomplishing everything you have written down. And for strategy three, we mentioned it earlier, be the master of becoming a restarter. I want you to do me a huge favor when you feel like you failed or you feel like you quit something, just restart it. Give yourself some grace. Find some time to put aside for that particular thing if you want to do it again, and just do it. Do it without any context, do it without any training, do it without any, just fucking do it. Because I promise you, the times that you do it, it's going to become more easier. And oftentimes than not, you're going to fucking like it. You're going to have a lot of satisfaction after you do that one thing. A huge thing right now is running. I have a couple boys, they like running. I can't get into it. But if you like running, that's a huge thing right now. Join a run club or just start running by yourself in the neighborhood, at your apartment gym, just anything, right? Make progress with that. Make progress with your fitness goals. Make progress with whatever you want to restart, because at the end of the day, once you finish that, there's going to be a ton of satisfaction that you feel, and you're going to be a better person. So hopefully those strategies are worth it to you and you take my advice and you actually do it. And this is coming from chasing all the outcomes to defining your identity. I promise you it's fucking worth it. I want to end on this. I might seem like a hoorah person. I might seem like a go-getter. And don't get me wrong, I do feel like that. Most days I do feel like that. But there are days where I just don't feel like doing shit. I feel like eating bad. I don't feel like drinking water. I might get a soda. I might just eat bad shit in general. I just might drink alcohol. I things that I don't normally do on a daily basis, I will do. And you are human. Give yourself some fucking grace, because I think you have to have a full fucking balance within your life. And I found having balance within my life because yesterday I just ate some chicken at the Pearl. I just ate some frozen yogurt yesterday with my girl. That rhymed. But I gave myself some grace yesterday because for the past 2 or 3 months, I had none of that. I've been on this cut and I found that maybe I do need it. Maybe this might help my cravings in my head, because I do get cravings. So I say this all to say there are days where I'm lazy, there are days where I'm undisciplined. And if you're feeling like that, trust me, I've been there, I've done it. And you have to switch your mindset and stop focusing on outcomes. Dispatch yourself from the outcomes and remind yourself that you can be a restarter. If you enjoyed this episode, do me a huge favor, like, comment, and subscribe. Tell me which strategy you're going to implement into your weekly or daily life. And if you do, drop a comment down below and let me know how it's going for you. This attempt to get back into podcasting, this attempt to get back into season 6 is feeling good. I'm feeling good right now. So hopefully you're feeling good, guys. Again, I appreciate y'all. We'll see you on the next episode. Until next time, peace.